What's going on, Jeromes? It's a good day for some Q&A. We got a ton of questions, so let's not waste any time. Stefan Saad bin now. More of a statement. Just want to say thanks for the fun and entertaining channel. I remember first tuning in and listening Andy's voice back in the day. Andy voice back in the day. I get it. And then and from then to now, you've done a great job. So thanks again, Andy, and can't wait to see how far this goes. Hey, thank you, Stefan. OG Jerome, absolutely. Derek Baker. Although it may be looking too far in the future, I am curious regarding the salary cap situation for next year. I hope the Vikings can keep nearly all of this year's talented close-knit rooster. Could you take us through the numbers and explore the tough decisions Kwesi may have to make? Thanks, Andy. Yeah, we could do that. All right. Spot rack, Vikings. Actually, over the cap may be better for this, but whatever. We'll do a cursory glance. So we'll bring up 2023 update. Zoom in and enhance. All right. So Vikings 2023, we are looking at. All right. So right now, 2023 Vikings are estimated to be 8.8 million in the hole in terms of cap space. But you look at cap numbers. You got Cousins. You got Thielen. Cousins will be around. O'Neal will be around. Harrison Smith. Maybe Za'Darius, hopefully Dalvin, maybe Daniil, maybe. So, I should bring this into frame, but it's whatever. So the Vikings, they have some decisions on guys like Thielen, guys like Harrison, guys like Dalvin, hell, guys like Daniil, guys like Kendricks as well. And it sucks, but it's part of the game. It's part of the business. So the Vikings, they'll be fine. Like, they're snug, but of course there's always ways around the cap, and there's always money in the banana stand. That whole thing. Next up, Kyle Engstrom. I love that we're 8-1 and so much left to desire. I hope this magical season continues. Yes, and that's the great thing. Where the Vikings offense, it's been good in spurts, especially Kevin O'Connell open scripting. 6 out of 9 opening drives ending in a touchdown. Defense is getting sacks and they're getting turnovers, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more meat on that bone. Kyle Engstrom. Oh, read that one. Really good today. Shang Qingla. 2 questions. Number 1, do you think that we missed extra point actually helped us win the game? It's more of a revisionist history thing. Your kicker missing obviously is never going to be good. All right. Number 2, just became a father. Any tips with newborns other than typical hospital stuff? Guess being a dad. Get ready to change some diapers. Ready for some late nights. The days are long, but the years are short, if that makes sense, because those kids grow up fast, and enjoy every single minute of this. You're going to screw up. You're going to make mistakes. No one has a perfect answer. You're not going to find it in the book. You're not going to find it on the internet. You're not going to do anything like that. So just do the best you can, and that's the best you can do, if that makes sense. That was like a Yogi Berra line, but you'll be fine. And the fact that you're even concerned about looking for tips or advice means that you're going to be perfectly fine. You're going to be a fantastic parent. Congrats to you and the significant other. Cypher, what do you think you should target in the first round of this upcoming draft? Quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback? Depends what the Vikings do in the rest of free agency, and also with their with some of the veterans. Like, if they move on from Adam Thielen, wide receiver would certainly be a need. If the Vikings move on from Danielle Hunter, edge rusher. If the Vikings, they'll probably keep Peterson. So we'll see there. But you can never have enough corners, for sure. And also, what happens with Bradbury? Do they re-sign him? And if not, interior offensive line is a huge need. Also, Chick-fil-A or Culver's? I would say Culver's just because I go to it more. The wife and the kids love Culver's. They love the custard. Culver's, Liney's, and Spotted Cow, and then Quick Trip are the only 3 things that Wisconsin gets right. That's it. But Chick-fil-A is really good. I love the chicken sandwich, man. W Pick 24. Do you see any potential trap games coming out on the schedule for Minnesota? Also, how many games can you see Philly losing that would clinch Minnesota the first seed? All right, so trap games. I guess the good thing is that there isn't many. I guess week 14 at the Lions, week 15 Colts, especially if the Colts continue to flounder, maybe. Especially if the Vikings beat the Cowboys, beat the Patriots, beat the Jets. Then looking ahead that showdown to the Giants. So I guess the Lions Colts could be one. certainly. Week 17, 18, I discount because the Vikings may be in the clubhouse by then. And also, I think that Philly, they have to play the Giants twice, to play the Cowboys again. I think that it's possible that Philly could lose 3-4 games this year. So, I mean, very narrow margin of error, but they can do it. Mighty Strangebird. Do you think 15-1 is possible this season? Also, what's your favorite type of food? 16-1 or 15-2. Yes, I think both are possible. Favorite type of food? I don't know, steak a type of food. Steak, sushi, and eggs. Like I can honestly live off of all of that. But if I had to pick like a cuisine, can we just say like Pan-Asian? Because I love pho, I love Korean barbecue, I love kimchi, I love sushi, I love everything there. Love Korean-styled calamari. Yeah, so all that's good, man. Pulford's goal. Congrats on 60K. Watch the channel daily and been here since before hit 10K. That's right. Pulford Skull OG, Jerome. Is this the Vikings year? It feels specifically fun, free-flowing. Guys wanting to be here and play for this team. We are blessed. We got KOC and none of the other stooges out there. Skull. Well, Harbaugh would already have them winning the Super Bowls. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but it does feel different this year. The Vikings are winning close games. It seems like they're having a ton of fun. Winning will do that. And this is sustainable. That's a great thing, too. Is that, I mean, this is supposed to be the competitive rebuild year. But, I mean, the Vikings, I mean, they're winning and they can still improve. And that's what's great about this year. They certainly have not hit their ceiling. Carl Gershman Sr., who is not Kevin Seifert. Do you see the excitement and love for the players from the coaching staff, especially Keenan McCardle and Matt Daniels is one of many differences I see from past year. Yeah, I mean, Keenan McCardle, I mean, there's a reason why the wide receivers, Jefferson, Thielen, KJ, everyone went to bat for Keenan McCardle, and he was the only holdover from the Zimmer coaching staff. Matt Daniels has been a breath of fresh air. And Matt Daniels, he played special teams in the league. He learned from the best in the business, John Bones Fossil, and Matt Daniels is fantastic. He's just really good. I think that he can relate to the players. I think that he's a good blend of hype as well as positive criticism. So, yeah, I love Matt Daniels. I love Keenan McCardle. Of course, I mean, just fantastic, man. R-free. How nice will it be to see the staff be able to draft and develop their own quarterback? What style of quarterback do you think Kevin O'Connell will be looking for? I think the mobile quarterback is going to be in. So I think, I mean, these guys are going to be out of the range, but guys like Will Levis with the big arm and mobility, I think certainly could be up there. Seeing him as like a Josh Allen, Carson Wentz hybrid. I mean, well, the good parts of Carson Wentz. So I think that's something that Kevin O'Connell could be looking for. And also, maybe like Vikings make a move up for Levis. I mean, because Kevin O'Connell is 6'5", 230 coming out of San Diego State and could run like a deer. So maybe he sees some of himself in Levis. Steel Horse Travels, Preacher Paul. Everyone wants to be so critical of the Vikings. I love it. Keeps the team hungry and humble. Great combo. Pump the brakes. National talking bots. The team is 8-1 with a brand new GM and head coach and completely new culture and way of doing business. I embrace the fact that quietly kicking butts, keeping it real, Andy. That's fair. And I mean, you saw the media coverage this week before the Packers lost on Thursday night. It was, can the Packers bounce back because the Cowboys blew that game? Sure. Or what's wrong with the Bills and Josh Allen? I mean, that was combine those two narratives. That was about half the media coverage. I mean, the only reason that they really talked and hyped up the Vikings was the Jefferson catch. And that's it, man. But it's all right. Flying under the radar. Still taking that hate. It's fine. DHVF. Any team that you think is going to be a surprise team next year and make the playoffs but isn't doing much right now? I think the Lions. I think you're starting to see the makings of the Lions. Maybe the Bears if they can get their defense together. Sure. Everyone picks the Jaguars, but is Trevor Lawrence going to be that guy? I don't really know. Jen Stapp. Is it okay to finally be excited about the season? I just feel like I'm going to jinx it. No, I mean, that's what sports is about, man. Buy in. And then your team breaks your hat. But no, enjoy it while you got it. Animated affiliates powered by AI. This year is different. I remember the years we had a shot before. There's never a feeling like this, even in '98. What do you think is that feel so different this year? I know I'm not the only one who feels it. I think that the Vikings are putting together a complete team. Special teams is good. Offense, we've seen the high highs. Defense starting to come together. Where I mean, 98 it was all about that offense. I mean, the defense was sort of, but this seems like a complete team, and you feel that you can clang and bang with any team in this league. Like, even if, NFC title game, you have to go to Philly again, don't care. Don't care. I think the Vikings could get it done on the road. Robert Harry, how much of the Rams' struggles this year do you think is due to losing KOC? 30%. Well, I mean, Sean McVay obviously is an innovative genius, but losing that brain power, losing Kevin O'Connell, losing Wes Phillips, and then replacing OBJ with Allen Robinson, not so good. Whitworth retired. They lost Von Miller. The defense is sort of gutted. And now Matthew Stafford's struggling, and he had a concussion, and Cooper Kupp is hurt now, so it's rough, man. Drew Paul Allen getting all the recognition. Thoughts on making a PA hire? Just Adrian Peterson. It'll be considered. But yeah, it's great that PA is getting some national love, even though us Vikings fans have known it all along. Mar Casual, will you do a list video? Recap of transgressions you have documented. It'd be too long. So the list is you just made the list. Pro wrestling thing, or Ryan from The Office of national media jabroni haircuts, or opposing players just insulting the team. It'd take too long. Also, can we dub P Squared and Hitman on the old dirty? I don't know. Shelby Russell. I know Kwesi is constantly preaching how the front office is always looking for ways to improve the rooster, but with everyone vibing together and working as a unit, I feel adding a depth player, OBJ Sue, may mess up chemistry. Thoughts? I think that the locker room has enough strong leaders that bringing in someone, well, you can't add Sue, but even bringing in a guy like OBJ or like a veteran corner, it's not going to affect things. No. Andrew, this season, it looks like Cousins is having a lot of fun enjoying his teammates more. What do you believe? He gets a new contract over the season, takes less money to keep building to win Super Bowls. Yeah, I think that Kirk and his agent have never turned down a nickel, unless you include he turned down 3 years $90 from the Jets versus 3 years $84 from the Vikings. Both of them fully guaranteed, but taking into account taxes, even in New Jersey, and cost of living, it's different. It's different, man. But I can maybe see him as like, hey, we have a chance to be very special here, but Jefferson needs to get paid. Hawkinson needs to get paid. We want to keep Daniil. We want to do this and that, the other thing. So how about you just take a skosh less, and we'll free up some cap space, and we'll take care of some other guys. I mean, it's possible. Miles, seems like this team needs to figure out how to run the ball similar to the Commanders, where they had a lot of 3 or 4 yard gains to pick up some more positive yards than frequently, rather than boomer bust results we get. We also have many third down conversions due to negative runs. I mean, yeah. The Vikings up front, they can run block, especially behind Darius. So I'm glad that it looks like he's going to clear concussion protocol for Sunday. And yeah, I think that in this league where I think they did a segment of this on ESPN where everyone went to the spread, 5 wide, so getting smaller, faster guys on the field, and then realizing, like, hey, we can bully you if you run the ball. I think that's why you're seeing the explosion of big-time running teams and running stats this year, and so the Vikings do need some of that. Stetson Smith just got done watching the Packers lose. Do you think KOC will unleash a run attack with Ham, Madison, and Cook in at least one game, or is the passing game too hot of a hand? I think they could. Opponent dependent. Jack Bootram. Although Jefferson is that dude and Thielen has been getting his, do you think we could utilize guys like KJ and Rager more than we have? Also seeing TJ, but into the team just means yes. I think that the Vikings should and could be using KJ more. They should and could be using Jalen Rager more, especially on jet sweep, especially in the red zone, all those things where it's starting to become there's only one football, there's too many mouths to feed, but it's a good problem to have. Justin Miller. Did that miss PAT versus Bills indirectly help the Vikings win it, change the flow and thought process for both teams? So, no. Well, I think it just added to the randomness where now instead of being up 4, maybe the Bills go down and get a touchdown as opposed to kicking the field goal and stuff like that. So, no, I don't count that. Drew Wanzik. If all the divisions merged into one team, who do you think would be the best? I would take the AFC East. Yeah, just with the Dolphins roster, that Jets defense, the Quinnen Williams, the Bills. I mean, you could have your pick between Tua and Josh Allen. That's pretty good, man. Of course, the Patriots are always going to be good. So, yeah, that'd be good. I mean, Vikings get dragged down because we got the Bears and the Packers in our division. Jack Boutron on Good Morning Football, Kyle Brent talked about how the Vikings always drop an egg game after the game, the Sam meaningless game. They can't take Dallas lightly. I mean, Dallas is 6-3. I don't care what happened with the Cowboys last Sunday against the greasy grimy Green Bay Packers. I mean, Dallas is a legit team, and you're at home. Take care of business. Duke of Awesomeness. Do you think Zadarius Smith will play out his career as a Viking? Yes. I hope so. Also, do you think Bynum will stay the starting safety for years to come? Yes. I think Cam Beasley's played phenomenal. I think that eventually it'll be Bynum and Seen back there once Harrison Smith moves on. Philip Eschweiler. Do we do OBJ one time only if someone gets hurt in the receiving room, or is he on the table late in season? Push regardless. Get him. Because part of it is he would fit in here. Skull SU. All the LSU Tigers around the team. Also, get him so that he doesn't go anywhere else, if that makes sense. Yeah. Walter Cronkite, DMB. The Hawkinson effect, one of the last two games for us, changed my mind or don't. Of content. Hawkinson is really opening up the middle of the field. He already has 16 catches in 2 games. He and Kirk Cousins already have chemistry. He's moving the chains, making some big 3rd and 4th down conversions, and also he's a good blocker and gets after it. And just imagine what's going to be like in a couple weeks when he fully knows the offense. Gavin C. Any chance for Dalvin to pull up Priest Holmes, have a very successful career past age 27. Priest broke down age 28, went on to have 76 rushing touchdowns between 01 and 05. It's possible. I mean, Dalvin is having a really good year. Frankly, if he's like this next year, I wouldn't mind having him back. Maybe at a reduced rate, but we'll see. I mean, Father Time and running backs, it can be undefeated. The Uncut Life of D. How does Adam Thielen affect Justin Jefferson? Like coverage-wise, Adam's still having the ability to pull 2. They're not really doubling Thielen anymore. They're certainly hitting Jefferson with the double coverage and the bracket coverage and all that stuff. I think that Thielen benefits greatly from number 2 corners and single coverage. It's Jefferson affecting Thielen. Steve Scheisty. Do you keep your Excel sheets from week to week? If so, how many years dad do you have? Skull from Japan. Yes, and I don't know, probably a couple years worth. Never go look back at it. Damian Figueroa. With what we know with KOC, what was Mike Zimmer's real issue with being the head coach of the Vikings, basically having the same roster as this year? It's hard to say. I do think that Kevin O'Connell is learning on the fly. I think that he is good at game management situations. I think last year the Vikings' situational football was just poop. And part of that's on Zimmer, part of that's on the team. But the way that they gave up points in the last 2 minutes of each half is just completely unacceptable. A lot better this year. I think they're better at situational football than Kevin O'Connell. I think that he's just a great coach. Lucien basically missed out his rookie year. How should Kevin O'Connell use him next year? Like a third safety, or like a small linebacker, or have Harrison fill that role, and also on special teams. Daniel J. Hampshire. Team MVP so far, gotta be Patrick Peterson, Justin Jefferson, right? It's Jefferson. It's absolutely Jefferson. Just looking back at last season, the return players are all out there. Just maybe it's mentality or psychological effort. Maybe it's Zimmer being gone. But wow, I love this team. I mean, this team is good this year. Vikings Nation. Was the Philly game a fluke? I feel like in these games that followed, we have somehow found ways to pick ourselves up late in games. It's possible. I mean, that was the second game of new offense, new defense, new special teams. Philly was at home. They're feeling themselves. I mean, sure. I mean, this team is night and day difference between what we saw now and week 2. It is. Not asking for financial advice, but what financial related books people would you recommend reading, learning from? Dave Ramsey, Robert Kiyosaki, etc. Dave Ramsey for personal finance, yes. I found like not seeking out specific investment advice because everyone is different. Everyone's risk tolerance is different. Everyone's interests are different. And you could say, well, we need to invest in real estate. But if you know nothing about real estate, or if you don't care about real estate, they ain't gonna do it. Or invest in stocks or bonds or securities. But if you're not interested in it, it really doesn't matter. But so I actually listened to a lot of like financial guys' biographies, where I learned a lot from that, more from a investment mentality. The number one rule of making money is don't lose money. That's Warren Buffett. So I've listened or read to Warren Buffett's biographies, Charlie Munger's, Charles Schwab's is a really good one. Robert Bogle, the guy who founded Vanguard. So it's just stuff like that. And investing, like, there isn't a silver bullet. And you hear these stories about, well, people getting in on the ground floor of Facebook and then it taking off and then it crashing. How's that working out, right? Or crypto or FTX and all that stuff. Like, there's not a silver bullet. I mean, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, or whatever Einstein was talking about. So just saving consistently and putting it in, if you're young, putting it in aggressive index funds, S&P 500 stocks, Vanguard 1000, Schwab 500, things like that. There are you can cater to your risk profile. You can be super aggro, you can be super conservative, you can do whatever. But I mean, I don't really hammer on single stocks anymore. I'm basically like an index fund, a mutual fund guy. So, but saving money, making sure you live below your means and you're able to stockpile 15, 20, start with 5%. Start with 5% of what you make once you're paid off all your debt, 5% of what you make. Ramp up to 10, 15, 20%. You want to be super aggro, 25, 30%. Go ahead. Go ahead. Put it away for a rainy day because it's going to rain. And discipline does equal freedom. That's Jocko's line. So the more disciplined you are now, whether it's putting in the work, whether it's saving, the more freedom you're going to have later on. It's going to be worth it. Rumad Mazel, do we think this Buffalo game from Kirk, we will see a streak of higher passing yardage games now that he's popped his cherry put up 350? I think this was I think this is more of a one-off game. It was an overtime game, and also you had to have a 17-point comeback. So I think this is much more of an anomaly. Forward. Do you think the Vikings can keep Jefferson and Cook? Jefferson, yes, 1,000%. Cook, who knows? I mean, running backs, and Dalvin doesn't really have that good of a contract. But Jefferson, 6 years, $210 million. Don't care. Just pay it. Traveler, what NFL rules do you wish they would change? I would say making penalties reviewable. Right. So in college, they can review targeting calls. I think they should bring that to the NFL, even though it is still subjective, but you have better data as opposed to just bang, bang, or face mask or 12 men on the field, things like that. Philip, in soccer, like they'll do VAR checks where they can check to see if it's a penalty or not. So if they call it targeting in the NFL or roughing the passer, they go look back at the replay and it's not, pick up the flag. That's something that they should be able to do. Philip Urschweiler, what martial arts would you have kids start out in around kindergarten to help them be fit for football? I don't think there's like a one-for-one, but I think martial arts in general are just good in terms of kids learning discipline, kids learning to show up, kids learning to also make them wash their own gis, which is also really important. Also, don't let your kid be the smelly kid with the dirty gi. That's just ridiculous. But it's whatever they're interested in. If they want to grapple, have them get into wrestling or sambo, or not sambo, or jiu-jitsu, right? Or if they like kicking and striking, have them get into taekwondo. If they like karate and forms and stuff, have them do that. Right? So just it really doesn't matter what you get them into, as long as they like it. Because if they hate it, they ain't gonna stick with it. Justin Johnson. Who are your Pro Bowl selections from the Viking team? All of them. Pulford Skull. Would OBJ actually come to the Vikings? I think that if OBJ wants a ring, it makes a lot of sense. He knows Kevin O'Connell. He knows Wes Phillips. He was in their offense last year. BFFs with Jefferson and Daniil and P squared. It makes too much sense. So I don't know why he isn't listed on some of these. OBJ's 5 teams, not the Vikings. Makes sense, and they can find the money. Don't worry about it. Life Hagen, life advice for people in mid-20s, business investing, things you wish you knew. Well, before you're married, before you have kids, before you have a mortgage, before you have all this stuff, take chances. Take chances starting your own business, travel a little bit, bet on yourself, and just go from there. Like certainly don't waste your money. I mean, don't buy watches, don't buy cars, don't try and be fancy for don't buy things you don't need with money you don't have for people to impress people you don't like, or whatever the saying goes. Yeah, don't do that. Just grind. Like 20s are a time for trial and error, both in your business career, also in relationships, by the way. So yeah, take chances in your 20s, because if you're stagnant and then you're just working that 9-to-5 corporate style, even if that's your thing, once you're in your 30s, 40s, you got the kids, you got the mortgage, you got everything. I mean, you're not going to have the flexibility to take those chances like you wanted before. Like if you want to start your own business, start your own business. If you want to travel through Southeast Asia, go to Thailand and Vietnam and Laos and all that stuff, and just really immerse in the culture. You want to start a travel vlog, do that up, because it's infinitely harder once you have responsibilities and people depending on you. Tim Walbell. How many receiving yards per game does Justin Jefferson need to beat Calvin Johnson's receiving record? I don't know, some. We did the calculations before. It was like 129 before 193, so it's probably like 118 or something now. It'd be funny if that was the number. The Baka Flocka. Is this the time of year the old Vikings narratives get put to rest? For example, Kirk's upcoming primetime performances and our kicker wars? Yes. Most. Yes. Anderson, does TJ Hawkinson get his first touchdown as a Viking this week? Yes, first home game, too, by the way. Vikings, why do you think Rager hasn't had any time to play on the offense? I don't think it's necessarily about him. I mean, the Vikings just don't go forward wide. And we've seen Kevin O'Connell put in plays for him specifically, whether it be jet sweeps, whether it be the red zone shovel pass. So I would like to see more of that, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Chance Pagel. First off, I know it's quarterback award, and at least since AP got it a decade ago, but why is JJ not getting MVP consideration? Well, wide receivers generally don't get it because they're catching passes from a quarterback, and if the quarterback has a good year, well, if the receiver has a good year, the quarterback is likely having a good year, so the quarterback's going to get that attention. But Justin Jefferson is the perfect situation because never, ever, ever, ever is Kirk Cousins going to get the attention he deserves from the voters. So it's possible. Gary Oak, do you sell hubcaps for a 1972 Pinto hatchback? Yes. Hollywood J, should we try Blake Brandel at right guard? It's possible. I mean, Brandel has really filled out on his frame, and they have tried him at guard during some OTA stuff. So, I mean, next year, yeah, swing tackle is valuable, but if your swing tackle can also play guard, they should consider it. Hugh Janis, what's your thoughts on joining the Army? Well, I did not serve, but if you do serve, thank you for your service. I think that it is. I think it's a great path for someone who wants to serve the country, someone who wants to see the world, someone who wants to get an education. GI Bill is fantastic, and also I think a lot of young people would greatly benefit from the discipline. From having to make your bed every day, of having to work out, of having to serve a higher purpose. Right. So I think that the military is certainly a good option for a lot of people, and so we're gonna be having 2 sons, and we have our daughter too. So if they want to join the military when they're 18, I will fully support it. Right. So it's just amazing selflessness. People who join up, a lot of respect for that. And there's a lot of benefits too. Like you hear the negatives, certainly, but there's a ton of positives for service. Praise the sun. The Cowboys have a dynamic returner. Do you think the Vikings can minimize the big returns? Didn't look good against the Bills. Well, part of it against the Bills was they're having Greg Joseph kick pop flies, which I don't agree with. Just kick it out of the back of the end zone, just so 6 doesn't have a shot at it, or 9, whatever his number is. Jackson Levin. Should we all chip in and buy Kirko Chain's very own chain? Also, what would the look be? Pizza Ranch logo. You like that? No. Get like the minivan. That would be the look, man. Jonah Waldner. Could you play Paul Allen's call on Justin Jefferson's catch? I missed it. I can't find it anywhere. It's out there. Sam Wilcox. Who has had more of an impact, Kwesi or Kevin O'Connell? I would say Kevin O'Connell, since the roster by and large is similar to last year, but Kwesi, the moves that he's made and setting up for the future, it's going to have a big impact down the line. Atheism. Is this really going to be our year? Yes. Reason because I asked because 2017 was a good season, but then blew it against the Eagles. Blah 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 blah. This does seem different. Like 2017, not gonna lie, even as a fan, it seemed like the Vikings were being held together by duct tape and baling wire. Like it was a good run, but this is just a legitimately good football team, right? You could say fluke all you want, but I mean they can run the ball, they can throw it. Kirk is playing out of his gourd. Defensively, they can get after the quarterback. They can turn the ball over. Special teams are elite. So this is just a good football team, man. Trenton Harkness. Why don't you like when the media doesn't show us love? Because underdog status, in my opinion, is way better. Well, I think it's more about just being honest. Like when a team is good, say that they're good. When a team is bad, say that they're bad. Stop making excuses for the Cowboys. Stop making excuses for the Packers. And when the Vikings are showing up and showing out, give them the time of day. Give them the respect. I mean, yeah, narratives are great, but you can find yourself as an underdog in any fashion. Like Belichick can still, in the midst of their Super Bowl runs, would still make them feel like they were underappreciated on blah, blah, blah. So it's whatever. Cole Habza. I know you're a big Game of Thrones guy. Have you watched House of Dragons? If so, thoughts? I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, and I have not watched House of Dragons. So, no. Josh Imset. How much longer should the Vikings keep Ingram at guard? They're going to keep trying. Maybe he'll get better, but it's been rough. Kyle Gabriel. If we win the Super Bowl and wear all the teammates' Super Bowl rings in the Victor Parade Kirko rings, yes. All the rings, all the chains. Meatball Music Man. Do you believe? I do. Super Bowl skull, yes. Krim. Why can't our defense let in 24 in the first half and make us all think we're going to lose 50-24, but somehow only let up 6 points in the second? It's good adjustments, and also the Bills started shooting themselves in the foot, and Josh Allen in particular. Free. If we hoisted Jerome Barty this year, does Rick Spielman get any of the credit? Should he? I mean, it's possible. I mean, Spielman drafted Darisaw. He drafted Jefferson. He signed Cousins. He brought in Patrick Peterson. He brought, well, he didn't really bring in Thielen, but he kept Thielen around. So, I mean, it's a good roster. It is a good roster. Kingston Vlatch. Would you root for the Bears in the Super Bowl? No. Bennett Durham Klein. If the Packers did the exact same thing the Vikings do, and the media would be praising them so hard on it, the media would have a joygasm. Justin Lassick. Who are you more scared of, Micah Parsons or Trevon Diggs? Micah Parsons. Diggs. Diggs will gamble and go for an interception, yes, but you can throw in Diggs. Last year he gave up 1,068 yards receiving in coverage, highest in the NFL. So you can get your yards. Danny Dush. Looking to the future, when it's time for Kirk Thuggins to hang up his chains, would you rather see the Vikings go after an accurate pocket passer or athletic mobile quarterback? The latter. I think that's the wave of the future. RPOs, the quarterback picking up third and long yardage. It's just backbreaking, man. Roberto Bustamante. Should Shelley take over fourth-string quarterback after Booth had his poor showing against the Bills? I think he should stick with Booth, but Shelley should be ready to go. Mac Karpenko. Do you think we'd go 61? Yes. Kiko Cap. In the Bills game, why didn't the Bills play situational football and just take the safety kick to the Vikings, rely on their defense, stop the Vikings with a minute left, and the entire field to score? Well, a safety kick, it's not like a normal kickoff. So they take the safety. They're still up by one. Safety kick, the Vikings probably would have returned it to 35-ish area, or they would have popped it up, and maybe it started at the 30. But then you had, 47 seconds left. I think the Vikings had a timeout, and they only need a field goal to win. So it's really a damned if you do, damned if you don't spot. The easiest situation would have been Allen sneaking for a yard or two, giving them some room, and then run the ball, but it didn't work out. Nathan Munster, thoughts on the G-men. I do not trust Daniel Jones. Saquon is the truth. The defensive line, Andre Patterson, our guy. Fantastic. But they're getting things done in close games. They're kind of similar to the Vikings in that regard. I have a lot of respect for Brian Daboll, and I think that the Giants are for real. And also, I think that they may sweep the Eagles. Cole 08. How have the Lions been undefeated since they got rid of Hawkinson? Coincidence? Yeah, it is kind of weird. Both teams are 2-0 since the trade. Jake Ranger, Vikings 1. When the Vikings bringing in a kicker to compete with Greg Joseph, if he screws up this game, I don't see how they can't. Dustin Collins, can the Vikings make the Super Bowl win? Yes. Chili Rules. Do you think Calvin Conn was the only reason for why the Rams won the Super Bowl? No. ZIQ. Who's your top 5 favorite Vikings on the team right now? Skull. Jefferson, Darisaw, Daniil, Patrick Peterson, Harrison. Cade Enigma. Are we worried about the defense's bend but don't break mindset? Well, they don't even bend. They just break, especially in the red zone. Clutch up when they have to. They do get stops in the second half, but, you can march on this defense, which it really sucks. They got to get their stuff together. Robert Harry, what's the story behind the jabroni haircuts? I don't know. Just turn a phrase that we came up with one day. Jake Lagavin, why did Duke Shelley get on the field on defense before Chris Boyd? We actually have a theory that Chris Boyd is such a valuable special teamer that they didn't want to risk injuring him, so they put Shelley in at cornerback. As weird as it sounds, it may be true. Isaiah, have you been to a Vikings game? If so, what games and which was your favorite? My dad and I, when I was a kid, used to go to every Vikings-Packers game at the Dome. My favorite was when I don't want to say it was when Brett Favre broke that stupid record. I never had the hatred for Favre that I did for Rodgers. I always respected him, but those are always great. Good memories with Pops. Hugh Janis, why has Garrett Bradbury turned around and someone like Pat Elflein didn't? I think it does come down to coaching and scheme. Cooper coming in as O-line coach. Wes Phillips has some offensive line background, and of course in Los Angeles they have Brian Allen, who was an undersized center, so I think that they have found ways to work around that, and also Garrett Bradbury putting that work. He added size. Good to go, man. Traveler. Zimmer and KOC throw down. Who wins the fight? No one. Skull Vikings. McConnell for governor. O'Connell for governor. Maybe after he wins 9 Super Bowls. Sam 006, why things are long things? We talk about Greg Joseph field goals, so ideally long. Elijah Alsop, how do you buy a house? Save up 10-20%, then go to town, have good credit. But Tristan Bailey, why are Bears fans so delusional? That's a good question. 85 is still stuck in the back of their head. Wild Bumby Lee, Jefferson for MVP. And who date with the sexy Lisa Meadows? I don't know. The world may never know. The universe is a mystery. That's it. That is this week's Q&A. You guys are the best. Skull production value.